It's 2 minutes after 2 on December 19th, 2024. I'm calling the Concord Transportation Advisory Committee meeting to order. The roll call, Mariana.
Here.
Phil Posner,
Here.
Dan Schrager.
Here.
Nick Pappas.
Here.
Ellen Quackenbush.
Here,
And myself, Mark Galis. Great.
who's scribe?
That's a good question.
After
Who will be
Q.
scribed for today? We,
I was
we,
last time.
we attended the Magic local meeting this morning, and I will write up just some very
Okay.
brief minutes for next time that we attended and why we had it as a.
Did
as a
Lauren
meeting.
do the last meeting?
No, I did.
You did the
So
last
Q, so,
It's
yeah.
Being
Trigger.
recorded, right?
Well, actually, the situation is that the last meeting we had was on 12/5. Laura threw together some meeting minutes
Right.
before she left the committee.
Oh, that's right.
They have some omission, they were distributed, but they have some omissions, so
Yeah.
I suggest for those minutes. We all take another look at
Okay.
them and bring back anything we think is missing next time. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
I-
she did a great service by getting most of it down, but I think there were some things missing.
Okay.
We need to make sure it reflected what happened. So Ellen, your minutes were for a November meeting, right?
Correct.
Do people have those? Do people have a chance to look at them?
And I didn't know how to spell one person's name.
Okay,
Is it?
I'd find them. Should have got one from,
I don't remember which, there was one I had feedback, it was a typo of some sort, it may have been that one, but I sent it to Heather.
Oh, okay. So is it Christine, somebody in Lowell Road, was talking about Middlesex School. I didn't get her last name.
I think I know Kristen, toll free.
Toll free, yeah,
Oh, perfect. Toll free, TOLL free.
I think it's one L.
yeah. Think
I
it's
just
Okay.
one.
recognized her from another Facebook group.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other corrections or?
There was one typo, did you get the typo?
I don't know if
There
you
was a
can look
name,
at
I think.
this.
Let me just look at
Here,
it.
go ahead.
I think it might have been Mark's name. There's somebody's
People
name.
move the I on different.
I do that. I know that.
That's
It's
very-
bad.
Sometimes double see if this time you don't have a problem.
When did those minutes go out? Oh, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had 2 minutes and to review. We have 2 meeting minutes.
It was an 11/14 meeting. And
Elizabeth sent them.
Heather
Heather
sent them around. She's been sending these things around. Makes it easier. Correct.
No problem was.
I think that might be I think was that a
Yeah, I'll
rule
look
that we're supposed to go through Heather and not send them directly?
Yes,
yeah, it's better to send them,
Bill?
it's better to send them to staff.
Are you? No, it
14.
was- no.
Why can't I?
Spell
put
your
it?
name.
were you looking for 11/14?
Yeah, no, I'm putting this, what day did it go on? I looked at it, it looked okay to me, but I was,
It went out on December 13th.
Okay.
At 9:04 AM.
okay.
Well, I can't find it now, maybe it was corrected.
No, those were what I wrote. So those are with any, before any corrections that Heather would have gotten.
You know, and Vic forwarded to you. Yeah. Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I
Hello.
can't find them, so maybe they weren't this one, okay.
Oh, maybe Laura's. There's Laura's.
Hello there. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. Thanks, Mary. All right. So at this time.
But we're gonna review these anyway, but.
Yeah, okay.
So, this looks good. We had everybody present. There you go. You got the October 15th minutes.
Oh, there it is. Come in.
Can you close the door?
No, you can't. It's an open meeting law.
Oh.
He will
Okay.
stay, he will stay by Nick.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Come in. Laptop.
Um,
Your laptop. Sorry.
I think
He's
it's
super-
really, really good minutes and just to me, just the name corrections. And a lot of nice references and everything.
What are you looking at, Mark?
Dan I couldn't find it again, so Dan just forwarded the November 14th minutes that I
Oh,
went
okay.
ahead and prepared.
Yeah, I put in all the stuff that Laura sent in an email.
Was that a joke about the door or is that actually part of open meeting law that the door? has to
No,
seal?
it's,
Well, you.
I might not have completed my training. That's actually. I need to-
You
I
have to
just
make
got,
sure
I just
people-
got an email.
You have to make sure the public is freely admitted, and in fact, if the room turns out too small for all the people who want to go in, you need to move to another place or adjourn. So it's all
Trying
in
to
the.
finish that by the end of the year.
law. It's important, public is public, right?
right.
That sounds like a way someone could shut down a meeting of
Oh,
a
yeah.
committee they
Ram-
don't like.
Yes, you
Swamp,
could, no, and it
swamp,
would be
for
legal,
sure.
yeah.
You're
you
totally
could
legal.
swamp it, yes,
People bomb.
yeah.
People bomb. Exactly.
Okay, so do we wanna consider approving these minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of November 14th as amended.
I'll second.
Second, okay,
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Nick? Dan?
Yes.
Bill?
Done.
Aye.
Mariana?
Hi.
And then myself, I. So, in the alphabetical rotation, from, Ellen, and we have you, Dan, next in line, do the minutes for today. I think they should be pretty straightforward. Okay, that's why.
And then we go back to Laura.
Well,
She's
Laura's
gone.
not on the committee anymore. Although I don't think
that's
she-
right, she's.
As far as
going
I
to
know,
the cupcakes this time.
the town manager's assistant asked me if she.
So you'd
submitted
be
a-
next.
a
No,
formal
Mariana.
resignation, and I asked her, but I haven't heard back from her.
Oh, okay.
So,
So my next after Laura.
Think so, yeah.
Yes,
What,
well,
what,
no, was
Dan
Ellen,
today.
Ellen Q, Dan S, and then who comes next?
Well, we're not QRS, yeah,
There's no.
and Mariana.
and then
It
our.
used to be Z and that was always easy to keep track of. It was at the end.
Yeah, you can sleep during
can-
commencement.
You have
Next
you
time,
can hyphenate or you can decide whether.
next time, Mariana.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and right now, the next meeting is.
I'll be there.
planned, January 9th.
Okay.
Okay.
People let me know if, if people can't, come by in person or by Zoom, let me know and I'll, change it if enough people can't make it.
Okay,
Yeah, I won't be able to make that.
Okay, all right,
that's one.
so,
Yeah, I'm also gonna be out of town that day, so.
okay, so we
Oh,
may,
maybe we should move it.
we may need to,
I'm out of town the following week.
okay. Does one day forward or backward make a difference for you and Phil, or, doesn't?
I'm out that whole week, so,
Okay,
I may
next
be
week
able
would
to-
be okay for me.
But
okay,
it won't be for, Nick.
okay, well, we'll talk,
Are you-
we'll
Okay, we'll figure it out.
talk, there's time.
Yeah.
Got some holidays in between, we wanna
It's one.
relax a little bit. So, for the chair's report, there are a number of things I wanted to mention, no particular, order. One of them is that, Ellen and I went to a, meeting on 12/9 in Lexington, which was, sponsored, the room was, probably arranged by, the Susan Baird, who's the transportation, manager in Lexington. And, the meeting was organized by an organization out of Boston called transitmatters.org. They're an interesting organization. And, there were three, there was, state rep
Michelle.
Chicolo,
Chicola.
and,
Yeah.
and a number of other people. I mean, Susan Baird from Lexington spoke, but the panel members were the gentleman who's sort of the head of the transitmatters.org. And then there were 3 MBTA associated people. I sent out the, I believe I asked to be distributed what letter Ellen and I got back, which has a link to the video of the meeting, which is on YouTube, and the slides that were presented. And I recommend people watch that, because I think a lot of interesting things came out, challenging and not challenging. One of the most important things to me is MBTA is actually trying to do a lot of good things, expand service, make the service more regular and reliable and cleaner and better. And this whole meeting was called Outside the Core, transit for communities outside the kind of center area of Boston. And the MBTA is saddled with a large debt. We need the legislature to everybody's got to write the legislature and get them to switch things around, because the MBTA deficit is the same order of magnitude as their debt service for this debt that the state threw on them that should never have been put on the MBTA. How are they going to, they're not a funding organization for other things. So anyway, in addition to that, MBTA related, at the 250th.
Oh, can I just add one thing?
Yes,
So,
please,
one
yeah.
of the things that I thought were so interesting
Hmm.
was this woman and she was amazing, Lindsay Heffernan. Who,
Yes.
Heffernan, I mean,
Yes.
one of the most articulate strategy person I've ever heard.
And
She's really
she's in a leadership
awesome.
position of planning.
Heffernan,
Yeah.
Heffernan.
She also mentioned she's running for school committee in her own community,
She's a
wherever that is.
glutton for punishment.
Glutton for-
But one of the things she said that's interesting, she said, when you think about servicing a community, the buses are the core because they're so much more flexible than trains. And so that really made me feel good about kind of our mass transit orientation, that the buses provide a lot of connectivity. She was talking about, and also another guy was talking about, the guy from Transit Matters, we're talking about hubs. And how what
Yes.
you want to do is bring into a hub. I'm thinking West Concord train station.
Yeah,
They've got the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. There should be decent bike parking like they have in Acton.
Mhm.
And there will be a pedestrian bridge from the old Genrad building for people to not walk on Climate Ave, which is so super dangerous, to get the train and then walk across the bridge as people walk to some of the other businesses in
Right.
town. So it was really about, it's not, I mean, the thing I liked about it is that it wasn't one form of transit. Like this morning, we were talking about just bike interconnectivity, which is great.
primarily, yeah.
But she was really talking about multimodal. And or the Transit
Yeah.
Matters folks are multimodal. And I thought that was really just brilliant.
Right.
That was really what we need, kind of last mile multimodal.
Exactly, and the feeling too that you have this MBTA commuter rail, but in a lot of places like here, you don't have any public transit buses branching off from that to
That's-
serve different parts of the community. So essentially, most people just drive there, and then you got to worry about parking there in an area that'd be better to have developed for other purposes than parking.
Yeah.
So I strongly urge you, I think you'll be impressed too if you watch this. And did everyone get the links?
Yeah.
Yes, I strongly recommend it. And we should follow up with that campaign with the state too, I think. MBTA related, a couple of quick things, just high communication. The co-chairs, there was a 250th executive meeting. last
Mark,
night.
before you proceed, I just have a quick question with regard to the
Sure.
meeting in Lexington.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did that have any discussion of Lexington's sort of separate shuttle bus? Was that part of?
Yeah, the
conversation?
Lexpress. Yeah, the woman was there and she was really interesting. She said that they had, I think, pared it back. But that what she was trying to do was pretty much a lot of what you're doing, Phil, which is trying to giving the kids like an outing in which they had free transit passes and I don't know whether they had like a little game about how do I get from A to B. But
Mhm.
it was getting kids to adopt the Lexpress as a way to get to the Burlington Mall, a way to get to, you know, you name the destination, and having them own how to get there. Like they do the wayfinding.
Great idea. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's very cool. I mean, it's very similar to your like safe routes to schools, getting the kids to lead.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
All right.
I'll look forward to,
Okay, so at the 250th, what I heard, I think my notes are accurate. They were talking primarily, they had spoken the evening before to the, there was a presentation with Chief of Police and the chairs of the 250th Executive Committee, talking about safety arrangements for 4/19/25 or April 19th, and there's going to be things like roads shutting down at 6 p.m. the night before, a whole big area of town kind of blocked off from traffic. But I learned a little bit more detail about some transportation aspect to this at the 250th Executive Committee meeting. So they're saying that the MBTA is going to have additional rolling stock cars coming into Concord, going as far as I think South Acton, but mainly North Station to Concord. They're going to start at something like 4:45 a.m. The committee is and they're trying to promote this. They're really urging visitors to Concord on that day to take the the commuter rail. The main destination in Concord is going to be the Thorough Depot. And temporarily, there'll be all persons accessible platforms
Yeah.
placed there, just temporary. The parking lot by the depot will be closed off for cars, but we'll use that as a place to group and manage people so that
Mhm.
getting on and off of the trains will be orderly. They don't want people falling on the tracks or whatever. Unfortunately, they said these trains are gonna not allow any bicycles on
Really?
these days.
Oh.
So this is a kind of a word to get out to people, because I don't know how, what other accommodations
Bike rental,
for people, yeah, bike rental, yeah, it's probably a good
probably
idea.
not enough bikes, but
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's, cause I would have thought they would have had at least a couple of trains that were, bicycle trains, cause they do, they used to have them, right? They used to have ones with
Yeah.
racks. So I
Every
think-
And they
day.
still do, you're still allowed to take them on so long as it's not rush hour.
Right,
And I believe the reason they're not is because they aren't sure when
right.
most people are going to come. They have to assume that it could happen at any time during the day. And so it all becomes rush hour and you can't bring bikes.
Right, yeah, thanks. So, yeah, so anyway, so that's that.
Did they talk about, okay, sorry, I didn't say that one. They talk about shuttles from, then Thoreau Depot to,
There's gonna
To
be some
where?
kind
To
of
all?
remote parking and stuff, and
Oh,
I
remote
don't,
parking,
I
okay.
don't know,
they didn't identify where the.
they didn't get
parking
into
is.
details,
Nashotah Country Club.
mhm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So they're gonna have to, figure out how to,
Yeah.
a very big part of.
Or Alcott, but that's not big enough.
In how to get information
Okay, cool.
out, so the people, the committee, figure what's called publicity committee or whatever that Dan Proctor's chair of, and of course,
Communications, yeah.
communications, and of course, the visitor center and the other coordination with the other towns. There's also going to be, events in Concord at a certain time, and then afterwards events in Lexington. So there may be people
Yeah,
trying to
zoo.
get from Concord to Lexington to do hit both places. So I don't know
Yeah,
how
the
well that's
commuter
gonna
rail
work out.
doesn't help.
Gonna be a challenge. Separate, so another item. I attended the Concord Commission on Disability meeting on December 12th at 5 p.m. over at Church Street at a hybrid meeting. And I went through our transportation mobility vision document with them, et cetera. And they, among other things, they're very interested in public transportation. They're really endorsing that there are a lot of underserved people in town. When I mentioned that in our sort of discovery phase of, where we're gonna kind of talk about what Stantec can help us in terms of
Mhm.
discovering about public transit options, opportunities and models. I mentioned the idea that it had been, one possibility to contribute to funding is to have large employers in town contribute something so their employees have free access, to the public transit. And Gene Goldsberry, who is the chair of the committee and also the head of Minuteman Arc, said, by the way, do you know that we're the fourth largest employer in town? And we
Really?
have people who need to get 2.1 miles from the West Concord place to another location they have, and they have to walk on sidewalks in the sleet and rain and things like that. So anyway, we need to continue to, talk about these things to people that can maybe help us build a critical mass of support. And I also sent her to distribute to the committee later that information about that Lexington union, because I think the more people complaining to the state reps that we fund public transit, it's the only way forward. And also it was, I think it was mentioned at that gathering, and I've heard it elsewhere, is the state has a policy now that says the solution to congestion on the highways is not adding lanes.
Right.
I mean, that needs to be pounded over the head of some people, because, even that Route 2 study was saying, well, they had a lane here, well, this is not good.
I think maybe it's a question of whose heads do you pound, because there's a lot of research.
Everyone available.
Maybe, no, I mean, from Dallas, where it was started in the Eisenhower administration, when they said, okay, let's connect cities via, interstate highways, and instead they put them right through urban areas.
Yeah.
And they were
They
definitively,
destroyed the.
yeah, but definitively proved when you add lanes, and it makes sense here, all you're doing is taking people from another form of transportation and making them get into a car. So in other words, it's almost you need to disincent, to get, because it's a switching behavior.
I
Switch
like
out of the
what
car.
you had said about the MCI Concord redevelopment. Let's make it non-car centric.
Yeah, I think
Car-centric.
it could be a model. I mean, it could be a model for urban development.
We
to do it right.
gotta
Okay,
move
sorry.
on, but I have one more really important update from Steve Dupran, which I will read.
Oh,
I asked him for an update. So he said Stantec has completed their field review of pavement and sidewalk condition.
okay.
This is with the second contract. They have incorporated data provided by us on related projects completed in the past 5 years. I can hand this to you if you want. They have performed preliminary analysis that shows a small rise in the street pavement overall condition index, because, there has been some work
Yeah.
going on. We are expecting to see their recommendations on the capital funding plan for achieving targeted condition levels for pavement and sidewalks in the next couple of weeks. Stantec is also currently applying proximity-based criteria to the pavement and sidewalk data to filter which projects rise as priorities. This is related to determining projects on key corridors. Regarding the public transportation task identified by TAC, what we're going to talk about a little bit later. We have not yet addressed that with Stantec. As Director Cathcart mentioned to you, he expects that this effort will be led by the Department of Planning and Land Management, and Concord Public Works will participate. We will discuss with presumably is Engineering and Public Works with Department of Planning and Land Management on their approach. The other thing, final note, is that today town staff is meeting with Stantec traffic engineers to kick off their task of reviewing MassDOT's Route 2 corridor study. And so that's
Oh,
happening today. Okay, so that's end of chair's report. So I want to move on to something that Heather, are you on the line? Well, maybe I don't know if I can share screen. Let me see if I can. It almost doesn't matter because it's so simple. I drafted a little blurb to put on the town website for under the name of TAC. And basically what I am suggesting is the following. Concord's Transportation Advisory Committee serves to advise the town manager and select board on policies and initiatives related to transportation for Concord residents, workers, and visitors. And that's it. And I was, I'd like to hear people's comments because I want it to be in a consensus. I was struggling a little bit with the very simple thing about, transportation in Concord or near Concord or this or that. But I think I hope that's inclusive enough, but actually talking about people.
What does it say again?
Can you read
Okay,
it again?
I'll read it again. Concord's Transportation Advisory Committee serves to advise the town manager and select board on policies and initiatives
Mhm.
related to transportation for Concord residents, workers, and visitors.
I like
Oh,
that,
that's
because
perfect, yeah.
that gets into the RTA, they did regional,
It's
yeah,
clear enough,
interconnected.
and again, mentioning people
Yeah, I like that.
on the website informs a little bit that it isn't like something I'm not gonna use. Well, I'm a worker, I'm a
Well, it
resident.
makes clear the purpose of who's being served, and I think that's perfect.
Yeah,
And it's not how they transport, it's that they want transportation. And it's how
Yeah.
they deliver, how they get it, to all kinds of different choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that it's employers and visitors
Okay.
and residents.
all
So
right.
thanks.
Mariana, did you hear that clearly enough? Do you have a suggestion?
Excuse me. I don't know if the word constituents would apply here. I think you covered our bases with residents, workers, and visitors. I'd like to say like,
Yeah.
in a-
I agree. I want to go with really simple English, but if,
I
we
think-
can always change it if somebody thinks there's.
I think
no,
constituents.
I like how you
that's-
have it.
Yeah, I like the
Okay.
way it is. I think constituents, in a way, it makes it a little vague about who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
This
mean,
is more specific. which
I
is
like,
good.
I like the idea of you walk around and you see a person and they're included.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
everyone.
Whether they travel around a lot or not, et cetera. And, and it also, Nick had put forward the idea about delivery services. Well, that's transportation
Right.
for a resident.
Yeah, and
You-
it's
You got your
workers.
package, your food. Yeah, and the workers, I
Right.
think, is very important.
Right.
I mean, if nobody worked in Concord, I don't know what Concord would be. It
We also
really would be a bedroom park.
Yeah, right. It also opens the opportunity for public-private partnership.
Yes.
Like it's what you were saying is, would say, whether, employers can pay
You
a
could put
fee.
employers, but I don't know if.
No,
that's
it's
going to
worker,
but
they're
workers-
serving workers. You
Yeah.
could say employers, but then you have
Employers
to,
are workers.
but then
I
you have
hope.
to say government and you get it gets too messy,
Yes,
right?
okay,
You just
Uh,
email it to me.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Phil, do you have any comment?
I like the wording. I think you did a great job.
Okay, well,
Excellent.
that's good. Okay, I will email it to Dan. Okay, and I'll send that to I think I already have sent it to Heather and Elizabeth.
Great.
Have them put it up. Okay, remind me to email it to you. Then go on to the next thing. Okay, so the next and longest piece of this meeting would be to finalize and approve next steps on public transit document. And again, I think this was distributed, Elizabeth distributed
Yes.
something she had written up.
Yeah.
I think that's where we start and we comment on that. So let's see if we can,
Is this the thing request to Stantec or mine?
That's the one,
Yes.
that's the one that has the letterhead on it.
Oh, I don't have that.
okay.
All right.
Let's see.
Is it online somewhere?
I think I had asked for it to be posted, but I didn't see it posted. Oh, no, well, what's posted is the older one.
Yeah, that's what I
Unfortunately.
wrote. Printed.
So let's see if we can get a hold of the real thing. Okay, it would have been a message from Elizabeth. And it would have been shortly after our November 14th meeting.
From Heather?
It may be from Heather here, let's see. I have one here.
What was the title?
It was, Elizabeth sent it to me and Mark on 12/5. And I'm not sure it got distributed any further, Mark.
Yeah, this is not, it was on letterhead. so-
Transaction Associates.
Can we
No, it's
print it?
conduct, Transportation Plan Task 3B TAC Comments 12/5/24 was the title. Is there any way I can print it out locally here?
I don't
Um,
see it in my email, so Maybe
Yeah.
re-forward it or something.
Start on the website, someone check the website.
Let me do.
You probably can print it without being on the private network.
Maybe you could send it
Heather
to
should have
somebody.
it. But we have to make sure we know which one it is. No, that's not it. Sorry about this.
I heard it now, so-
The simplest things ever. Which,
Yeah, I got the agenda minutes, but not,
I'll see if I can,
Yeah.
well,
Forward
I'm
it to
just gonna do,
can you forward to everyone? We can just look at it on our phones.
yeah, I guess. Okay, hold on.
So while people are searching for it, and I can always go down and ask Heather. One of the things that I want to suggest is that we think about this as perhaps three stages. And the first stage is a kind of a discovery stage. And we ask the consultant, we're asking consultant to help us look at what other communities have done. One's similar to Concord, one's nearby. How are they funding things? I think there's been a rocky road for certain things during the COVID and all that. So what hasn't worked, et cetera. And then the second stage would be more, it would come later, and that's kind of really trying to develop models that we think are, for one reason or another, more appropriate or more implementable in Concord, and maybe how to stage certain experiments or temporary things and how to, maintain them longer. And then the third level, which is, is actually kicking something off. And by focusing first on a discovery stage, I think we would overcome some objections I heard raised by Elizabeth at that November meeting. And I think some of the TAC members that, we're not asking Stantec to tell us exactly what to do, and that's unrealistic. We have local knowledge. We keep discovering new things, and maybe some things useful at the economic vitality meeting. I learned some useful things at the Commission on Disability, and I think we'll continue to learn local important information. And there's a lot of interactions with other things. There's interactions that we talk about with zoning bylaws or guidance in terms of possibility of developers offering to support public transportation as an accommodation in lieu of some parking requirements or things like that. So there's a lot of things that I think are, they may exist other places, but the combination in Concord have to be special for Concord. So we don't want to have somebody sorting that for us, but we want to develop options. So anybody got a document from Elizabeth?
Well, I just emailed it to everyone.
Oh,
I forwarded what.
Thank you
Elizabeth
very
sent
much.
to you and me.
It takes a village, especially if I'm trying to run things because I can't do it. Everything that well.
Did you get it on your phone?
Just writing down notes.
Okay.
Did you include me on
Oh,
that?
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, but I would love to.
Sure.
Look
Yeah, I
at it.
did.
Let's see. We can bring it up.
PC.
Can you bring-
Wilson,
Let me see if I can,
I'm sorry.
PC.
Share screen.
Here we are.
let me see if I can share screen.
Yeah, right.
At Gmail.
That must, there you go. It was just.
Do this in the most effective possible
It is,
way.
yes, that's just right now.
Hmm?
Draft.
That's it.
Yeah.
It should have, town letterhead at the top if you.
Yeah.
Right document. Yeah,
It's
that's-
nice, yeah, this,
Okay, I'm gonna bring it up on the screen so
that'd be great.
everybody can see it. Okay, and then. we're gonna get rid of this. Get rid of this. Screen sharing. Might blow this up a bit. Maybe too much. Are people seeing it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a draft Elizabeth put together based on the preliminary version that Nick Pappas had created. And based on comments at the, of everybody at that, November meeting. So I'll read through it. Okay, so it's, here it's to Steve Dukran, town engineer. Well, he is the point person for that, initial $100,000 funded, $67,000 remaining, contract with Stantec Planning people for a comprehensive, transportation and mobility study. And, does anybody see? And it relates here with task 3B, 5-year transportation solutions, public transit options, that is called out in the statement of work. It's a section in the statement of work of that contract, so that's makes it relevant to what was contracted for, which I think is important. Does anybody have any problem with what's above that horizontal line?
We're following my phone, kids.
Okay, and by the way, another important thing is that I've been told by Stephen that you know, there's an ongoing effort to hire a community development manager to oversee planning and land management department. And that the kind of umbrella, they would be sort of the person ultimately administering and helping to implement these kind of solutions, especially. So it's yeah, I believe it's called community development.
And this would be
management.
things that are multi-departmental.
Yeah, I think I don't have any specific details, but I believe that it's a kind of it's like the position that it covers, I believe, the position that Marcia Rasmussen had as director of planning and land management, but it also includes things such as transportation.
What
At least
this
that's
is-
what I've heard. What my understanding is, it's something like community development manager.
This is at a director, at a high level, like Alan
Direct
Cathcart level?
Reporting to the town
Oh,
manager.
got it, okay.
Yeah.
This is the chief
Okay.
Kuba.
And we can try, but I think something's in process, but the way that it relates to this particular discussion is that there may be, you know, I think we want to push things faster and get Stantec working on it. There may be people who think we should wait till we have this person in place and they can direct it, but I think in the discovery phase.
Yeah.
We should just go ahead with the discovery phase, because we're not selecting, prioritizing, et cetera, but we're trying to we have a lot to learn. I think, you know, my impression, I don't know what people think, but having the transaction associates in to talk for half an hour raised a lot of questions in my mind about, you know, what we don't know about public transportation, how to make it good. So anyway, let's move right along here. So shall I read it, or people want to just read it? And can people online see this?
I think they have copies.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'll
Just
put it-
as an FYI, Mark, the
Yes.
document that's on the website is slightly different than
Yes,
yours.
Yeah,
Yes.
hold on.
yeah, it's older. We should be dealing with this one, I think. If that's okay.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
people.
Yep.
I should have double checked and made sure this was posted, but. So I'll just read through it.
Sure.
Is it helpful? Okay.
Yeah, that is.
The transportation, at least catch forward. The Transportation Advisory Committee requests that the following information outlined below be provided to Stantec to assist with transportation mobility plan. Task 3B, 5-year transportation solutions, and the preparation of planning level designs and cost estimates for public transit options. Whereas TAC has stated that developing public transportation in Concord is a high priority for the town as articulated in its vision statement. TAC would like Stantec to produce, okay, so this is where I'm not sure if we're getting into stage two, and I'm not hundred percent sure if this is the right way to do it. TAC would like Stantec to produce recommendations for public transit service or services for the town based on experiences of other comparable communities, including Lexington, Acton, Bedford, and possibly others. It will be helpful if the five-year transportation solutions included the possibility of regional destination fixed routes within town on-demand services. Maybe I should just read through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because later on, we get a little more specific on what I think is the discovery stage, and that might revise what we want to do with the first part. So, whoops, what did I do? Okay, other possible considerations that Stantec can investigate, include that, let's see if I can edit this. Editing, other possibilities, include the option for the town to join a different, I don't know what we say, different, we don't need different.
Just A.
Wait, I thought you were gonna read it through, now you're starting to edit it.
Okay.
It's getting messy, so take that word out and leave the document as it is.
Okay, well,
If you're gonna edit it, use the editing function so that we can distinguish between what you're adding and what's there.
okay, all right, so, what did I,
You added include, take out include,
okay,
Wherever you are,
and don't do any editing right now.
back up
Okay,
7
all right.
spaces. There you go.
okay, and then.
It originally said is there.
Oh, yeah, okay, we put it back. Other possible, it says,
Is.
Okay,
Is the option
all right, and then what do we do, what am I supposed to
for
do?
the town to join a different regional transit
No,
authority.
no, I need to get to the,
You need to get to
editing
the edit
option.
under Word.
Editing,
I think it should be review, under review, right? Click review on the top. Yeah. And then track changes. Over, to the right.
Right.
Go help them man.
Right.
yes.
There you go.
Okay, sounds
For
good.
everyone. Got it.
Okay, good, all right. Okay, so, okay, so anyway, let's just read through.
Let's just read through it first.
Okay, as part of the data collection, or the creation of a transportation management association, as well as a service run by Concord itself to address public transit needs. As part of the data collection from the experiences of the selected communities, the following and any similar relevant information would be helpful, where relevant tables or charts comparing towns would also be valuable. Data collection, fixed routes and or door-to-door, information on current service and any discontinued services, and if discontinued, why, route maps, frequency, hours of operation, is there early and late weekday service for travel to and from work? Is there weekend service for recreational, social, and cultural activities? Is the rider app provided? Okay, intra-town versus regional, how are where towns funding it, startup and ongoing, if fares, how administered, any discounts, ridership levels, including variation due to seasons, other factors, streetscape requirements, stops, shelters, signs, partners, businesses, cultural organizations, working with MBTA or other carriers. Has there been any analysis of benefits such as economic vitality, social engagement, reduced congestion or parking? Lastly, a recommendation from Stantec on accessibility requirements and intermodal interfaces that can assist in determining levels of service and cost estimates would be beneficial. And that's it. So
That's it,
it's
okay.
pretty, it's not super long.
There's one thing I think that's missing, that I'd like to see in, which is actual amounts spent for services implemented by the towns. In the case of Lexington, which has multiple routes and services, not just a total, but whatever granularity they can give us for each service or route.
Okay, do you suggest adding that at the end of the bullets or?
The ridership levels, can you put under ridership?
No,
You-
no,
you-
not, it's not, it's dollars, it's not ridership.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were saying
Okay,
rider.
well, there's a thing, Howard Town's funding it. Startup and
Oh.
ongoing, if fares how administered, shall we add it in there? Nick?
Yes, that's good.
Okay.
You're thinking there should be funding by routes? Can you say that again?
No, I just, well, I'm trying to determine if we can get it, how much each route costs, you know, like if they know separately that certain routes are more expensive than others.
Got it.
The way Lexington has it, they're very different routes. So, you know, there's one that
Okay.
serves the Burlington Mall, there are other routes
Got
that
it.
are more in town.
So read me something to.
Okay, so what I have is actual amounts spent for services implemented by the towns. Now, you could just leave it at that to keep it simple,
For services.
implemented by the towns.
Okay, great.
Can you put the same, on the same level, can you put ridership levels if possible by routes? So if you're trying to, like, it's not in there,
If
but you're,
possible by routes, sure.
yeah, if possible by routes.
in the,
Right, so
And,
just the idea that if the Burlington Mall, it's really expensive, did people use it?
hold on a second.
Right.
Well, how about just adding it as a
You
comment
could just
after other
say-
factors?
Interesting here, okay. All right, I don't know why it's doing that.
Oh, no.
You know, somebody else can clean this up later if we capture the words.
If possible by routes.
Okay. Invasion did season, yeah,
Yeah, it's just,
And the next one was supposed to be indented too.
yeah, well, Word has its own ideas about how it's from edits.
anyway,
There you go.
okay,
You got
that's
it.
pretty,
Yeah.
pretty close. Somebody can figure it out. Okay, all right. When it says partners, shouldn't we be a little more precise what it means by partners?
Don't you mean?
Partner,
Funding partners.
funding partners.
Yes.
That's
good.
what we mean, right?
This is cultural.
Okay,
Then you should say funding partners, colon.
Yeah.
Businesses, cultural organizations, et cetera.
Put et cetera in there too, because it really is like who would be motivated.
Real estate developers.
Yeah.
I would just leave it as wide open as whoever their funding partners are.
Right, right. Say EG, just so funding
E-
partners, colon,
EG.
EG.
Okay. Funding partners, in which case do I still need the colon?
No,
You don't need the
no,
question
really.
mark.
You don't need this question
Because
mark.
colon
just
would be
colon.
Colon,
Defining it.
question mark's gone.
Question mark's gone, you can put in
Yeah.
parentheses EG. And then in parentheses, we're getting really in
Right.
there.
Well, So
Something.
it doesn't hurt.
No.
And then we can get rid of this.
Okay.
And have.
Take out one of the Ps too.
Should I say et cetera?
No,
Yes.
I thought we were saying EG.
Well,
EG
EG
is the
and
same
et
thing,
cetera.
for example. You don't
are
need et
redundant,
cetera.
So leave out the E, et cetera. Yeah, it's fine.
Too many
Okay.
codes.
All right. No, that's okay. We're doing pretty good here. I think we're rowing in the same direction.
Yeah,
Oh, the one I mentioned to add there would have been real estate developers.
Okay, I think that's fine. Hold on a second.
it's interesting. It's kind
Make
of,
sure I save this so that we don't lose it. Okay. Okay, businesses, cultural organizations.
Real estate developers.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Sorry. Sometimes the cursor is hard to see.
So if we're gonna be throwing in stuff like that, maybe you wanna include institutions, because I'm thinking specifically of Emerson
Mm.
Hospital.
they're a business, aren't they? Oh,
I would call it, it's not exactly a business.
okay.
Yeah, is it
But-
better to say, well, are we saying real estate developers or developments? Because that's.
Hers.
Hers,
Okay,
you know, if they,
fine.
like MCI Concord,
Development is a piece of property. It's
Yeah, but there can be a condominium association.
So Phil's saying to
200
add in-
units Is not a developer.
Phil saying to added institutions.
Okay, and institutions.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, I think we're being helpful.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
And-
Well, I mean, it's also as they collect data, you know, it's just prompt people that's, you know, the partners to
Yeah,
talk about,
to
to ask
think of.
about.
Yeah, yeah. And again, one way I'm thinking about this is, can we proactively indicate to the consultant what questions we would like answered and what we would be asking, say, what did you do this? And, oh, no, we didn't do that. We'll go back and do this. It's better to front load it.
Oh, yeah.
Working with MBTA or the carriers, is that, clear
What's a
enough?
carrier?
Meaning bus lines or?
Transportation service providers. Carrier sounds like telecom.
No, that's because of your experience. Carriers means people carriers.
Other people, I don't mind people carrier. No, I really, because you wanna. Is that okay? Anybody object? No, I like.
Come on, Nick.
Huh?
Come on,
Come on.
have fun. That's gonna.
Well, you know, it's we need a vote at the end, so if people don't like it, they can always say, I would vote it only if you
As
drop
amended.
that out.
Economic,
As a min-
social engagement related congestion, reduce congestion.
Yeah, are we, parking, what, do we want to say parking needs or parking? What, parking by itself?
Demand, parking,
Now, has there been any analysis of benefits such as
reduce congestion of parking. It's a-
reduced
Yeah.
congestion?
Okay,
or
reduce-
parking?
Cause it
Yeah,
could
that's
be
good,
reduced usage of parking or reduce, parking
Well,
slots.
I would rather.
I think those examples are sufficient.
Yeah, that's good.
Right, but again, maybe I'm being nitpicky about this, but reduced congestion or reduced.
Well, by leaving out the comma, you have reduced applying to both.
I do. Okay,
Is it
I'll go
reduced-
with that if people are, read
Is
it
it
that way.
reduced parking needs or
Yeah, reduced
availability?
parking requirements,
Reduce
needs,
Parking demand.
parking
Yeah.
demand.
Demand.
Yeah, demand is actually,
Say it's my economic.
what do you think? I mean, well, is reduced parking demand a benefit? That is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, please. I would like.
You know,
I would
about
love-
parking on the planning. board.
Yes, yeah, please,
I don't
thank you,
think
and identify yourself for the,
Pat Nelson,
on the planning board,
I'm on the planning board, yeah.
our liaison from the planning.
Yeah.
board, right?
I don't think it's parking demand, it's parking requirements. I think it's,
Well-
because you wanna see, because your goal is, I think, to get policy
Yes.
changes.
It's reduced parking need. That's
reduce
what you're
parking Need.
That's what
Okay,
you're
that
talking
covers,
about.
that
Yeah.
covers everything, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I just, the reason
Because
why.
the
I-
requirements are just a mechanism for achieving something.
Right, reduced
Right.
parking need, I love that, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, this informs later discussions and people go cross purposes
Right.
based on the wording,
Yeah.
so. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, does that, before we go back to the beginning, lastly, a recommendation from Stantec on accessibility requirements and intermodal interfaces that can assist in determining levels of service and cost estimates would be beneficial. Are we putting too much in one sentence? And
Yeah.
is that clear to people? You could say recommendations for the following would be beneficial, and then we write
Right.
things.
Yeah, cause I think
Yes.
accessibility and intermodal, they just don't go together.
Okay, let me hack at it and then people. can-
Recommendations
can-
for Trans-Tech on the following,
Says
Yeah, on the,
from Stantec on the following,
colon.
I'll just say would be beneficial. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
they're trying
A
to please
recommendation
us.
From the following would be
Um,
beneficial.
It's a pleasant way to, and then,
Like, we would really like
You
you to
left
do
out the
this.
what be did I?
be beneficial.
Would, oh, thank you.
Would
beneficial.
Thank you. Okay, and then we can tab search.
You mean
right?
ADA accessibility, why don't you put that in?
Is that what we mean?
Or isn't that what does accessibility mean in that?
Yeah, accessibility could mean a road leading the car up to something. ADA requirements. For the time being, I'll just say it's clear enough to say intermodal. It's getting a little funny. Intermodal interfaces and how does this
Maybe
fit
a
in?
recommendation says like on the following would be beneficial in determining levels of service and cost estimates.
Okay,
I wanna put that, move that,
okay,
assist,
Oh, and
right, can assist.
and
estimates.
can assist. Is that
Move
okay?
that whole thing up to estimates
Does
to
anybody know
after
how to do
beneficial.
that?
Just drag it, I think.
I'm gonna.
Or
do it. And,
cut and
you know,
paste.
Somebody's gonna clean this up.
You can do accept all changes and it will look
Why don't you say, so
beautiful.
it says ADA
No, just a
accessibility
minute, did I miss
requirements
something?
and,
How do we
and
revert?
Mark,
Somebody else should do this.
Alan's really good at this.
Mark,
Yes.
Yeah, but
so-
I'm not,
ADA accessibility requirements, next line, intermodal interfaces that would be beneficial.
Okay, but I,
Strike all the
who
rest.
knows how to do this?
What do you wanna do?
Okay, okay, you see this up on the screen?
Uh-huh.
That's not what's on my screen. My screen is completely blank document.
what?
Yeah,
Yes,
I believe what's going on is when you shared your screen, you specifically shared a window, and if you
Okay.
opened a new window, then it's
Okay.
not sharing that one.
thank you. You
Yeah,
got it?
Thank you, you're
can
hired.
change it, but it's behind the thing that says this
Yes,
meeting
yes,
is being
yes, yes, I
recorded.
accidentally opened the new window. Okay,
Good thing we have a smart person.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
right,
No,
with
no,
the
you're helping.
techno
It's very
dummies.
helpful. Okay, so lastly, recommendations from Stantec on the following would be beneficial. I'm just gonna type the damn thing in because I
Levels of
remember when
services and
Excel
costs,
let you, and Word let you control what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
You can, but you have to think
So
Excel and
Mark-
Word, which is
Mark,
really,
You could simplify this a lot.
Yes,
If it just said, lastly, a recommendation from STEM Tech on bullet, ADA accessibility requirements, B, beneficial intermodal interfaces,
that's fine.
okay. Intermodal interfaces, yes.
and beneficial intermodal interfaces. And then strike everything after.
Because yeah,
Okay.
because that's,
How does this deal with things if you cancel something that's canceled?
no idea. That's what it
Double
is.
negative.
I don't like that, I like.
What was it? Beneficial?
Beneficial intermodal interfaces,
You know, it's-
and then strike everything after interfaces.
Yeah, because levels of service we talked before.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that's, again, the clearer this is, the better. Okay, I'm gonna just do this the old fashioned way.
That's good.
Um,
And then if you want to, you could say
That's it.
accept, you can.
That's good. That's good.
I'm gonna just save it
Never
before I
mind.
lose it. Okay,
Oh, you didn't. Did you save it as a, oh, that's right, it's,
I just saved
just
it
track.
as
Okay, that's
whatever it is.
I think
but you need
you
to change its
accidentally
name
deleted
so
an
that we don't
I.
get confused and.
Well, somebody will go
At the
through it.
beginning of
Don't worry about it.
intermodal, there's
Yep, I did.
You know,
I did, I can-
Okay, never mind. I'm-
until you accept change, it's really hard to read something like this. Like you
Okay.
look at it.
I
just
think
cross-eyed.
Google Docs does it better, but
No, I hate Google Docs.
no, just this part.
Generational thing.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it
yeah.
doesn't. It's
Okay.
terrible.
Religious
So,
wars.
so-
Working back up, okay?
Can I
yeah.
interject?
Please.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of hung up on wanting to have something about, I would be really curious if the consultants could uncover if there were any zoning changes or town policy changes
Oh,
relating to
good,
parking.
good
That's
You
comment.
can add that to beneficial zoning
Yeah.
changes. Add it to
And
that
town
list.
parking policy,
Right,
because it's not just the zoning, it's the town parking policy.
right.
Well, I mean, we can put it in as a bullet of its own. It's okay to be redundant, because asking for more information, okay?
Right.
So one approach would be we put an additional bullet that.
I would
just
put it up
says-
here because I think it's a really important enabling
Yeah.
aspect.
So if I put it in as an additional bullet,
Yeah,
here, what would it say?
Floor says
Changes.
beneficial,
Well,
recommendations on zoning changes.
no, but I think what you were
Say
saying
it
was,
again.
No, but if in Lexington, the town actually changed some of their parking policies
Okay.
or did some rezoning around.
okay.
So
change-
Joan-
change,
Changes in zoning and parking policies.
policies that accompany implementation.
Would just say, were there any required changes in zoning?
No, not required, but the point is, were they able to change,
Say it again, okay.
were there any related zoning changes?
Yes,
And
Okay.
Were any zoning changes? Were there any related zoning changes made in the community? Something like that.
and.
Let me
policy,
hack-
can
Or
we
parking
throw in
policy changes.
Zoning,
Any
Zoning or
zoning
parking policy changes.
Implemented
To
as
support that,
part, in support of the program.
yeah, that's what I meant. So, did they have to do, because that's one of the things, one thing we cost, but it's just like
Thanks,
that
Pat.
zoning, thanks,
Great.
Pat. The policy issues
This, okay?
Yeah,
Zoning and parking were there any zoning or parking policy changes implemented in support of a public transit program?
As
that captured?
as the result of a public transit
Well,
program
no, in support of the truck.
well.
Related to the public transit,
related to.
related to
Okay.
public transit.
And you wanna,
And we could, and we, I don't know if, yeah, okay.
So, well, so one thing, this may be in here, but, impacted groups, for instance,
Mhm.
where we have something in there about ADA accessibility
Right.
requirements, but for instance, Minuteman Arc. Were there any groups, were there any underserved any underserved groups in the community that were explicitly benefited? This may
You
be-
could say
I'm
evidence.
trying to find out. if
evidence-
there's
Evidence
anything
of,
good
evidence
happening.
of, evidence of,
We're making claims about the benefits of public transit that include impact on underserved groups.
so what to say, what impacts on?
Well, what if we just said evidence
Yeah,
of benefits to
Underserved
underserved groups?
yeah, perfect,
Yes,
that's great.
good.
I mean, we need evidence,
Yes,
Measurables.
Yeah.
and
evidence
say
of benefits to underserved groups,
benefits, evidence of benefits
to underserved groups.
to underserved.
Groups.
I think in the context of this, we know what benefits from what, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to say anyway, underserved groups could be in the community, could be outside, could be, again, you know, one of the things that came up at the economic vitality was employers who wanted to hire somebody who lives in Lowell and has no way to get
yeah.
in because they don't have a car.
Yep.
You know, and,
Okay.
And that's what Emerson does now with the bus service to Framingham, I think.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, shall we take another swipe in from the beginning? We've gotten into some details and I think that might inform whether the preamble is appropriate or not. In particular, the second paragraph on the screen. This is again getting into what I was talking before about stage two, where Stantec to produce a recommendation.
Would you wanna put
Whereas-
in you'd like the work done in 2 phases for
Yeah,
the
so
collection?
removing the
Let's
recommendation
get-
and just saying, we just want the data, we just want to know. What other.
Produce-
communities
Yeah,
have
that's
done.
what this is about, right?
Right.
So I'd say data
Produce-
collection.
Collect and organize data, or however you want to say it, instead of produce a recommendation. What words do we want to put in there? Okay, I'll read. Whereas Stantec has stated that developing public transportation in Concord is a high priority for the town, as articulated in its visions.
Oh, wait, so Concord would like to understand what similar services have been implemented in the region or, you know, comparable communities. And to what effect?
Or with what results? Or
Yeah,
what?
and with what results, right?
Okay.
Would like.
Okay, let's.
Would like.
Tell you what I'm,
Stantec
tell you what
to-
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna type it in separately and then we'll figure out a way to put
Okay.
it in. So what was the wording again?
Would like Stantec to,
Concord would like Stantec too.
yeah,
Darn.
okay,
No, this is great.
would like Stantec to help it understand what similar services have been implemented in comparable communities.
What do I need to do to take that, a tab or what?
Just keep
Keep just typing.
Similar services have been implemented.
in comparable communities
Verbal.
and their effectiveness.
And you also said you were saying something else before.
I never remember what I said to.
You
I
said
know.
the word was to what effect?
And to what effect?
And
But
to-
effective, no, their effectiveness.
I think
That's-
their effectiveness
This
was
is a good statement, okay?
So that would, to me, that would replace everything, most of the paragraph.
Yeah, I think.
Where
the
it just picks up right where TAC, you know, where it says TAC would like Stantec, it says Concord would like Stantec.
Okay,
and then just get rid of everything else.
so
You
basically,
might wanna say,
Well, you could include Lexington,
Yeah,
that stuff
that-
about the other communities is good.
and similar, com-
Yeah, so that's all the
It's
rest, I would just
comparable-
leave, yeah, so this would replace up above,
mhm,
starting with TAC, you could strike TAC,
TAC would like,
uh, up through the end of the next line. From TAC through the end of the next line, you could delete, and then
Okay.
stick this new piece in there.
okay, and where's the strike through? Is there a strike through?
it just, you say delete. Use the delete button.
Okay, that's easier. Okay,
I mean, someone can do the punctuation, but that's more or less what,
okay, but I can also make this, the first thing here is one sentence.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
and then,
paste that additional sentence.
yes, I believe so. I believe it has that,
Just do,
it gives me the power. I'm gonna copy it.
Copy it.
Save. Okay, good.
And then you can
I can
delete it.
delete it and delete the delete. Let's see what it does. It deletes it.
Yeah,
Good,
there.
okay.
you wanna put after comparable communities, including Lexington, Acton, Bedford.
Yeah, so I just changed this to a comma and it,
No, cause
Well, it's good.
the after communities, you should put the list
oh, you
or,
want this inserted there?
You could
Yeah.
go after the effectiveness too.
well, you think it makes sense?
Their effectiveness.
Well-
And then
Yeah,
comparable,
it's better to do with it.
Well, what I could say is in comparable communities, including Lexington, Acton, Bedford, and possibly others, what, in, I
no,
I
then,
wouldn't put
yeah,
possibly in there.
and their effectiveness gets.
And,
Comparable communities it might include,
okay,
how about
you know,
that?
we're wordsmithing now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah, but
You wanted
that's-
to end at 3 and it's after 3.
okay,
Okay.
well, we can go
I'm
on,
okay with going longer.
is it okay with people to go on for a little bit
Yeah.
more?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. I think we're getting close to something really good here.
brilliant.
Thanks.
You get an A, Mark, for
That's
leading the
not me.
team.
It's not me.
No, it's
the team.
Pat.
It's the team.
Pat.
And Pat made
That
it.
gets the A, don't
Major
forget
copies.
us.
Okay, so I can put including Lexington, Acton, and Bedford with or without possibly others. Do you want possibly others or not?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, all right, then I will put that. Let's see what we-
Or others.
Or others,
And or
or
others.
others is probably good, but, and we're putting it here.
Yeah.
Or others, just say or others, right?
And the
We don't-
effectiveness of these,
We don't need possibly, I think or is
Yeah.
enough. And.
and the effectiveness of these
and-
services, as
yes.
opposed to the town's effectiveness
Yes. Effectiveness,
of these services.
I think that's wonderful.
And I like having so then get rid of the including Lexington, Bedford and others, and the last one.
Okay, and then we get rid of
Is
that.
valuable, the last statement.
Okay,
I would leave that sentence. That
Yeah,
was okay.
yeah.
leave it in?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, okay. All right, shall we just read through the whole thing and then vote? What do people think?
Sure,
Sure.
go
Okay,
ahead.
Read fast.
Okay.
Read, Dad.
Transportation, the Transportation Advisory Committee TAC requests that the following information outlined below be provided to Stantec to assist with transportation and mobility plan, task 3B, 5-year transportation solutions, and the preparation of planning, level designs and cost estimates for public transit options. Whereas the TAC has stated that developing public transportation in Concord is a high priority for the town, as articulated in, I would say, tax vision statement.
No,
because
it's the town's vision statement. It's
Well-
more important to say that.
I think
in
it's the town's
town's-
vision statement,
Okay,
that's it,
that's fine.
2020, 2030,
It's a
whatever. was the
committee
vision.
thing. Town's vision statement. Concord, okay, wait a minute.
Should be the towns.
Yes. Absolutely. And is it since we said the towns, do we want to say TAC would like?
Yeah, I'm okay with tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we contracting with them or is the town contracting with them?
Well,
It's,
But
uh,
we're asking the planning department
To have them
do
do
it.
it? Okay,
Yes,
Yeah, and it's our.
Yeah, it's
So it's our
it's-
request.
Yeah. Yeah, it says up front that we're basically sending, Steve Duprin is managing the contract on behalf of the town, that these are the questions we think would be useful for what we're doing in terms of setting policy and promoting initiatives. TAC would like Stantec to help it understand what similar services have been implemented in comparable communities, including Lexington, Acton, Bedford, or others, and the effectiveness of these services. It will be helpful if the 5-year transportation solutions include the possibility of regional destinations, fixed routes within the town, and on-demand services. Other possible considerations that Stantec can investigate here, what do we want? Include the option or we can either say,
Other possible,
okay, we have, other possible considerations is the option. So what do we want to say?
to join a different, are we part of RTA now?
Yeah, with Acton.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
there was-
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's sort of more
That's
about,
right.
but it's,
Yeah.
can
They
investigate
should
our,
investigate
our options.
are the option.
Right.
Cause it's considerations plural.
Okay, let's try it. Are the option for the town to join a different regional transit authority or the creation of a transportation management association. As well as a service run by Concord itself to address public transit needs. Is that a question? Okay. As part of the data collection from the experiences of the selected communities, the following and any similar relevant information would be helpful. Where relevant or applicable?
No, we're relevant.
Relevant tables or charts comparing towns would also be valuable. Data collection, fixed routes and or door-to-door, information on current service and any discontinued services.
I
and
don't
if
think you need a
discontinued,
question
what-
mark there. It's
No,
just-
we do not need that.
Okay.
And if this continue wide, I think that's super important. We,
Yeah.
Route maps, frequency, hours of operation, is there early and late weekday service for travel to and from work? Is there weekend service for recreational, social and cultural activities? Is a rider app provided?
There you want a question mark if you're gonna make it.
Yes, thank you. How, intratown versus regional, how were towns funding it, startup and ongoing? Do you, in terms of startup, do you want to say anything about specifically build, outreach and building ridership or something, because
Oh,
there's
marketing,
marketing?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
where does that go? Hold on. Yeah, up there. I guess.
Startup ongoing, including marketing.
instead of,
No, we
You
want
want to say what fall
specifically
out?
what market, where any marketing campaign. How is the service marketed?
Yeah, then that's a
should I just
separate,
put it as a separate? thing?
Yes, as a
yeah,
separate bullet.
Okay.
new bullet.
I would say was the service,
Was.
has been, how has the service been marketed? Because that includes the past and the present.
Excellent.
How
That's
ha-
the next one too.
Has the service been marketed?
Okay, and how has
Yeah.
the town,
How,
well,
how have towns funded it?
I almost like our word in terms of being very clear that those are two different things, but wording it, I mean, the slash is a little informal, but I think it's clear. I don't know.
Yes, I think it's clear we want both.
I mean, it
To me,
saves,
if I were the consultant, that would say, if it's any difference between the past and the present
Yeah.
and how the funding.
it saves time rather than two
Explain it.
separate bullet,
Yeah,
one
right,
about what you
yeah.
did, what you did, or if you didn't, if it didn't change. Startup and ongoing, I think that's important, startup, ongoing. If fares, how administered, any discounts? Do we need to capitalize or not bother?
No.
Okay, actual amount spent for services implemented by the towns, ridership levels if possible by routes, I like that, including variation due to seasons, other factors. Streetscape requirements, stop sheltered. Shelters, signs, funding partners, for example, businesses, cultural organizations, real estate developers, institutions. No question mark, working with MBTA or other people carriers, I vote for that. Has there been any analysis of benefits such as economic vitality, social engagement, reduced congestion, or parking need, et cetera? And a question mark, right?
Yeah.
And do I need a period and a question mark? Does somebody?
No,
It's an abbreviation.
Oh my
I
goodness.
don't know. I'll put it in and somebody will
Grammarian.
will run it by a English teacher. Were there any zoning or parking policy changes implemented related to a public transit program? I think that's a great question.
Yeah, that's really good.
Evidence of benefits to underserved groups. Lastly, recommendations from Stantec on ADA accessibility requirements and beneficial intermodal interfaces. Is that clear enough?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
It's
you
gonna
know,
be super
staff has said they don't have capacity to do this discovery. And if we can we have
Yeah,
money
great.
in the bucket, if Stantec can do it, I think it's super helpful. So let me save this.
That was part of
And
Phil.
before I lose it, let me
Phil made
send
a
it to
comment the
some
last meeting, if there was maybe they come back and give this to us, but is there, is there envisioning that they go away and come back magic with a report, or should there be interim kind of Zoom conversation with?
There's gonna be, anyway, go ahead, Nick.
I mean, that'll all be worked out.
That
when
worked
they
out,
get to
okay.
the point later on. of
Later,
How it
okay.
gets implemented and whether it gets implemented. At any rate, we're not managing the contract.
17,
That's correct.
19.
We are not.
This is the one.
Hopefully this is useful to Steve.
All right,
I'm just gonna incorporate this into the meeting once approved.
yes,
Minute.
let me copy you, yeah, okay, so, what do we think? We wanna,
What do we have?
I move that we approve the document as we have amended it at this meeting and forwarded to the planning and land use division for
Steve Dufresne,
consideration.
and Steve, and also Steve Dufresne.
I second.
Okay. All right, so Alan,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Phil,
Aye.
Mariana.
Yes.
Oh, I have they're actually,
finish the vote.
okay,
There's your-
all right, so and
Yourself?
myself, so we've
There you
we've
go.
approved
There you
this. Okay, all right, okay, you just send this a few people. Okay,
Leave that document alone, Mark.
yes, I do, well, yeah, it's definitely.
No, hands up the keyboard. Hands up the keyboard.
And stop it.
Okay, I also just threw it out to Heather and Elizabeth and myself an email, so we have that copy too. All right, so the next item is liaison observer comments. Terry, are you here?
Can I say something before? Thursday?
Yes, okay.
Phil, I want to report on the meeting we had with, Officer Holzinger and,
Oh, nice.
Justin yesterday, and then you can add to it or amend it, okay? Okay, so Phil and I met yesterday with, representative of the police department and engineering to discuss, the issue of controlling speed in the town and specifically the concept of developing a pilot on a specific stretch of road, which would be between roughly on Route 62 towards Bedford, but roughly the stretch from the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery somewhere down to the three-way intersection where Old Bedford Road
Okay,
intersects with Bedford Street or whatever it's called. And they agreed to provide some data and to consider it. And specifically, Justin said that the engineering department might even have some money to do some studies of that sort. So, and the other thing I think I got from the meeting was specifically, we talked about some concepts, for instance, raised tables or bump-like things to slow down traffic in various places. And we got good feedback that what the staff really needs, if we're ever gonna do things like that, is for there to be a policy in town about where such things would be implemented, where they would be desirable and where not.
Okay,
Because that would help manage the whole issue in the community about why we can do it in certain places and not other places. So, Phil?
So a couple of other things on that score. There are a few places where those kinds of road treatments have been used, and there's been feedback from various divisions both the highway and grounds department and public safety about, issues that they have. So I think any type of road treatment like that is going to need to take their comments into consideration. The other thing is, this is not directly on point, Nick, but I'll mention it because I think we should mention it. It's a win. Justin mentioned to me that the DPW applied for a Complete Streets grant, and they're going to build a sidewalk from about where the high school is to where the intersection. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to look at the map because I always forget what the name of the street is. Give me one
Along
second.
Street, right?
Yeah, so it's the Walden Street, and, Everett Street, approximately. So,
Oh,
Everett.
Everett. Okay.
so there's a $500,000 grant. I think that's a pretty big win. The other thing is that the Safe Routes to School program, I think we all know they won a grant, but the state loves us now and they're increasing the grant $10,000 to $16,000. So I think
Wow.
that's a win as well.
Sounds good.
Good job.
Okay, I'm gonna go Terry Ackerman.
Oh,
Select-
thank you. I have a question about the document that you were just perfecting. It came out really well. What is the process with this document? I'm concerned because in the past, we spent a lot of time sending documents to town staff, and then they went to Stantec, and then they went back to the engineer, and then and it went on and on for months at a time. And what is the process this time so that we can,
Is,
oh, is the sound working okay?
it's working.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
All right, yeah, what are you expecting to get back from this letter?
Okay, so I'll tell you what I believe is happening now. So previously, with regard to this same contract with Stantec, TAC wanted to focus on not discovery of what the town wanted or what could be done, but on support for implementing actual construction, road maintenance, things that would get us sidewalks, things that would get us actual concrete implementation results. And there was a lot of struggle back and forth because that's not how the particular contract was written. However, in this contract, there is a section which is referred to in this document in the header and in the body of the document that includes, fortunately, information towards developing public transit is one of the important things that the town wants, came out of Envision Concord, and et cetera. And so I think we'll have a much easier time getting Stantec to focus on this. However, as I mentioned, there's a little bit of a concern about there being stages of this. The way I think about it is a discovery, a sort of a selection, and then a moving towards implementation or testing or experiments, where because there's an effort to hire a community development director reporting to the town manager, who will also have some responsibility for transportation planning in town. There's a question about which parts of this can be done in before or during that hiring process and which need that person's direction. But I believe getting Stantec to start on this is something that TAC wants and that we're trying to facilitate. And it should be easier because we're using language in the existing contracted statement of work to support this, not trying to change the statement of work.
But Mark, you also got a statement from Alan and Stephen that this is, the thing we're asking for here is clearly something that we should be doing with the planning people, not with engineering. That you said something at the beginning of the meeting that sounded like that.
Regarding the public, this is what Stephen wrote me. Regarding the public transportation task identified by TAC, we have not yet addressed that with Stantec. As Director Cathcart mentioned to you, he expects this effort will be led by Department of Planning and Land Management, and CPW will participate. We will discuss with Department of Planning and Land Management on their approach. So yes, you're right, Terry. There's sort of a hurdle to overcome here. What is a little peculiar is that we don't have a Director of Planning and Land Management, and when Aaron Stevens left, the contract administration on behalf of the town was given to Steve Duprin. So I think Steve is in a position, well, there's gonna have to be some staff conferencing, I think. But all TAC can do is say, we really want this sooner and we want the information sooner, and we'll see what we can get done. Maybe you can help us.
Okay, anything I could do to help? It just sounds like things are gonna go round and round again. That's very frustrating. That
Yeah.
I feel very frustrated at how much work and how much time you put in. And then hearing your answer now, and it's not anyone's fault, but we don't have a good process. I think I'm going to speak to Carrie again about it, because I don't want this to slip through the cracks. I'm very concerned. But anyway, my other comment is about the 250th mark. I thought that you gave a good summary of that. And I just want to add that today they opened the bids for a bus contract. It's a regional bus service for the 4 towns, the Battle Road towns. I don't know the results of but I know they were going to open the bids today. And I think that TAC should be involved in hearing about the entire transportation plan. You can either be involved in 3 ways. One, you could just come to the 250th and the select board meetings where they're already being held, or you could request that someone from 250 come here to your meeting. Or they're also talking about holding a public forum of some sort where they're going to do publicity for the whole town, because residents need to know which sections of Route 2 are closed at which hours. How do you get through? How do you get on a local bus to get down to the North Bridge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody in town needs to know all of this. So if you want people to come to your meeting, let them know.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now there's public comment. I know Linda.
Terry,
is
Mark, I just
Oh.
have one quick question for Terry.
Yeah, yes.
Who was the bidding authority? Who's receiving the bids?
Okay, it's the intermunicipal group, because these buses are going through Lexington, Concord, Arlington, and Lincoln, I guess. And it's an intermunicipal planning group that's working, and they're the ones, they hired a contractor named Anthem who did the bid specs. Rob Monroe is the co-chair of the 250th, who knows all the detail on it.
Okay, so Rob's the contact point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So Linda, please give us your public comment. Thank you for being so patient. Thank you for being here.
Sure, Linda Neiman, 59 Mallard Drive. I also have a question about the document that you've been going over. So is this a portion of a larger document that's going out to Stantec? Because this seems very different from the feedback that was given in July to Stantec. It's very focused on, like public transit, which is great. I'm just wondering where the other items that were, pointed out earlier fall, especially around pedestrian and bicycle safety, sidewalks and all that stuff, or if that's already being covered by them. And I also was wondering, like, you had that really fabulous group that came to talk about public transit, and were you considering having them do the things that you're now asking Stantec to do? I'm just trying to figure out where they fall with this whole, planning process.
I think the discussion last time, there would be a conflict of interest in asking the group that presented last time to do a study on public transit since they're a provider of the services. So that's one of the reasons for Stantec. Also, the town has some money left over for planning with Stantec, so without having to raise any new funds or budget any new money, we're hopeful at least some of this can get done. And I'll answer for Mark, I guess. I think engineering, the work being done by Stantec right now, they're doing sort of the high priority stuff related to budget and capital budgets. And also included in that, but not immediate, was stuff that engineering wants Stantec to do about the issues you're talking about, which is specific corridors in town that would require where safety improvements would be beneficial. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into great detail in the meeting responding to a public comment, but I believe that what was accomplished so far before this other informational initiative with the first Stantec contract did serve the purpose of identifying these kind of needs for bicycle, pedestrian, et cetera, public transit, safety concerns. And we already know that, and the first contract is not going to implement these. The implementation is kind of something that we struggled with changing that contract into. So I think the TAC needs to consider the points you're raising, and we'll, continue the discussion about how to actually implement some of these needs for, safety for everybody. But the first contract seemed so far to be just saying, these are things we need and not telling us actually how to get them. Whereas the second contract is much more focused on implementation aspects. But I don't know really how to give more information except that the town is managing these contracts, and the first contract was put together in such a way that it was not really resulting in specific implementable improvements.
Okay, I just was wondering like what the other needs that residents had stated in the survey, that the part that was completed by Stantec, like where those fall in the process. Like right now, it seems like you're very focused on public transit and getting, cross-town connection, that kind of thing, which is great. But the other ones, are those currently being taken care of? Or is that going to have to be something separate?
I think some of it is naturally, as Nick had said, coming out of the idea that the second contract, which is much closer towards what we need for implementation, evaluating sidewalks, streets, et cetera. If we look at specific key corridors for transportation of all modes that they have, they're looking at, we should be getting another higher level, but not at the highest level, more close to implementation analyses of key corridors and things. So
Yeah, I think we're optimistic that what we're going to be getting over the next few months is better than what we've had. So let's say, I think we're starting to make progress, but in terms of, dollars per project and which neighborhoods they're gonna be in, we're still pretty far from that.
yeah, please keep asking the question. It's very important to raise this question. We are trying to use the means at hand to advance, solutions. I think, one of the things we need to do is gather together more of the discovery that was done on the first contract and apply it. One of the reasons that the second contract came about and took a lot of effort trying, as Terry had said, trying to change the first one, was this urgent need to support the road maintenance and the sidewalks, because, that was clearly identified and it really wasn't going anywhere. as far as I could see. So, yeah, this is a stage thing and we have to keep asking all of these questions. Thank you. All right, there's no other, is there any other public comment? If not, I will adjourn the meeting at 3:37 PM and thank everybody
Thank you.
for staying here so long, for attending.